Something big is unfolding across Nigeria, and this time, it feels different. For years, entire communities across the northern region have lived in survival mode. Nights were not for sleep, they were for listening. Listening for footsteps. Listening for engines in the dark. Listening for the crack of gunfire that could shatter a family forever. Farmers abandoned fertile land. Schools locked their gates. Markets went quiet. Hope grew thin. But now, the silence of fear is being replaced by the roar of action. In what authorities are calling one of the most coordinated offensives in recent times, security forces have launched a sweeping crackdown targeting criminal networks that have tormented rural communities for far too long. This is not a small patrol. This is not a symbolic show of presence. This is a multi-layered operation involving the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, police tactical units, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local intelligence networks working side by side. And they didn't just move randomly. Security sources say weeks of surveillance, intelligence gathering, and mapping of criminal hideouts went into this operation. Forest corridors long believed to be safe havens for bandit commanders were quietly studied. Movement patterns were tracked. Communication channels were monitored. Then, at once, forces moved in. Residents in affected areas described waking up not to panic, but to the sound of patrol vehicles and aircraft hovering overhead. For many, that sound brought something unfamiliar: relief. Ground troops advanced deep into forest strongholds believed to house operational bases used to coordinate highway ambushes and village raids. Air surveillance guided movements from above, ensuring precision and minimizing civilian risk. Witnesses say they saw coordinated maneuvers, not chaos, not confusion, but strategy. Several suspects have reportedly been arrested. Weapons, motorcycles, and communication equipment were recovered during raids. Though casualty figures are still being verified, security sources confirm that armed fighters engaged troops in exchanges of fire, and some were neutralized during the confrontation. But beyond the tactical success, the emotional impact is what truly stands out. In some villages, residents came out cautiously at first. Then slowly, prayers were said. Hands were raised in gratitude. Elderly men who once hid in bushes to escape attackers now stood openly, watching soldiers patrol their streets. Mothers who buried children in the aftermath of violence whispered quiet prayers that maybe, just maybe, this could be the turning point. Governors across affected states have publicly backed the operation, acknowledging that insecurity has crippled agriculture, education, and economic growth. When farmers are too afraid to farm, food security suffers. When teachers fear traveling to school, children lose their future. When traders avoid roads, markets collapse. This offensive is about more than arrest. It's about restoring confidence. Community leaders are now urging citizens to cooperate with security agencies by sharing credible information. For years, criminal groups exploited fear. People stayed silent out of intimidation or coercion. Analysts say intelligence sharing between communities and security forces may be the real game changer. Security experts are also sounding a note of caution: momentum must not fade. In the past, offensives pushed criminals back temporarily, only for them to regroup once pressure reduced. This time, officials insist the strategy goes beyond firepower. Plans reportedly include long-term stabilization, improved coordination between agencies, policing reforms, and stronger community engagement. Because let's be honest, bullets alone don't solve root problems. Youth leaders have pointed to unemployment and lack of opportunity as factors that make vulnerable young men easy targets for recruitment into criminal networks. Psychologists stress the importance of trauma support. Survivors carry emotional scars that don't disappear just because gunfire stops. Peace is not only about defeating criminals. It's about healing communities. In displacement camps, humanitarian groups are already assessing needs for possible returns. Schools that shut down due to repeated attacks may reopen if stability holds. Market women who once lost goods during raids are beginning to believe commerce might return. Transportation routes once labeled danger zones are slowly regaining activity. At the same time, authorities are urging Nigerians to avoid spreading unverified reports capable of creating panic. During sensitive operations, misinformation can undermine progress and endanger lives. Officials emphasize that human rights standards remain central to the mission and warn against misconduct by any personnel. Civil society organizations are monitoring developments closely. Transparency, they argue, is key to sustaining public trust. Beyond Nigeria's borders, observers understand that instability in one region often spills into another. Organized crime and armed networks do not respect state lines. That's why sustained success here carries significance for broader West African stability. Across the country, Nigerians are reacting with mixed emotions. Some are hopeful. Others remain skeptical, shaped by past experiences of short-lived victories. But many agree, the scale, coordination, and seriousness of this operation feel different. Families of security personnel speak quietly about their daily anxiety. Their sons and daughters are deployed far from home, facing danger so others can sleep. Yet there is pride in their voices too, pride in service, pride in sacrifice. As night falls in operational zones, patrol teams continue their watch. Checkpoints have been reinforced along major access routes to prevent fleeing suspects from escaping. Surveillance remains active. The message from authorities is firm: this will not be a one-week effort. It will continue until criminal networks are dismantled and communities can breathe freely again. Years of violence cannot be erased overnight. Trauma does not vanish because a checkpoint appears. But moments like this renew something powerful: collective determination. From different ethnic groups, different religions, different political beliefs, Nigerians share one common desire: safety for their children and dignity for their communities. The hope is simple: to farm without fear, to trade without intimidation, to sleep without listening for engines in the dark. The government insists this era of impunity must end. Now, the nation watches. Will this be the breakthrough that restores long-term peace? Will sustained pressure finally dismantle the networks that thrived in isolation and fear? Time will tell. But for the first time in a long time, in villages that once echoed with gunfire, there is another sound rising: cautious optimism. And that sound just might be the beginning of something stronger than fear.